All right, well, this demo today really kind of closely resembles some of my past history as a financial controller, cost accountant in a variety of industries where you have templates or reports where they look almost identical for each unit of your business. So, for example, my last job in industry, I was a plant controller for Seneca Foods here in Walla Walla, and we were one of 25 vegetable processing facilities in the United States. And every plant out there, including us, we're operating off of the same reporting models, just of course the information for each plant was different, but the format was almost identical. So this kind of really resembles and models that. In this particular demo, we're going to talk about, first of all, multi-worksheet workbooks using a linear series, something called 3D cell references. And we're going to get into some finer points of charts, especially exploding pieces of charts. All right. And working with linked files from other workbooks. We're getting into these finer things of Excel, and this one's kind of getting into that really that realism of things you would actually see in the job. And again, like I tell students when you walk into this class, if you master this curriculum in Microsoft Excel, you will have better software skills than most of the people in downtown offices in Walla Walla. Yeah, as a 14-year-old freshman, that is true. Okay. All right. So I have this start file, chapter 5 start file. Really helpful if you have the printout for the PowerPoint thumbnails in your hand. I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible. I've kind of taken some shortcuts here to kind of help move things along here. All right. So here we go, chapter 5 start file and cell C4. All right. I've got that big long title there, 2021 projected percentage change. Click after the word projected up in your formula bar. Okay. Hold down your Alt key, ALT, and hit enter. What that does is that puts the text on two different lines. That's a line break in Excel, a hard line break. Okay. Let's go over to G3. And we're going to use a little bit different. I'm going to show you something here. Let me pop into today function. Again, this is going to show the date. I can either do that here, or I can just go over to my function wizard, and I'm just going to show you where some of this stuff lives. Or select a category, date and time. And there's all the date and time functions in Excel. If I come down here, here's today. Returns the current date formatted as a date. So there's no time here, just the date. So it's similar to the now function we've had in the last two chapters. But in this case, it just returns the day. And just like the now function, there is no argument. We have a null argument, which means there's just left and right parentheses with nothing in the middle. All right? And there is our date, 3 June 20. Kind of an English format with the day, month, year. All right, bottom right, page 1. Now we're going to get into rounding. Now before we've just been changing the cell format. We haven't been actually changing the value of a cell. Okay? All right. So understand rounding is actually changing the value to the nearest dollar, the nearest penny, whatever precision, or how many decimal places we are rounding to. And because this is a financial projection, putting cents in here, CENTS, is really silly because this is like a crystal ball prediction. We're not going to be that accurate. Okay, so I'm going to go down here to D5, and I'm going to create a formula. I'm going to use the insert function option here, and I'm just going to type in round. Yes, round is a function, and there it is. And it says, first of all, what number are you rounding? Well, I'm going to do a formula here. I'm going to say B5 times, B5 plus B5 times C5. Now what we're doing there is we are taking the original value, B5, and adding the amount of increase, which is my projected percentage change, times B5. And again, with PEMDAS, PEMDAS, what's going to happen first? The multiplication. Now, another way you could do this same formula would be 1 plus my percentage change, in parentheses, times B5, my 2020 amount. So it kind of depends on how you want to distribute that. Distributive theorem. Ooh, okay. All right. So B5 plus B5 times C5. Again, PEMDAS, multiplication comes first. And my precision would be, how close do I want to round this? Well, I'm going to round this to 2 decimal places. I'm going to round it to 2 decimal places, but the cell is only going to be formatted for 0 decimal places. Oh, Reardon, you're blowing my mind. Okay. And you see, here's the formula result, 81,187, because this cell is formatted for 0 decimal places, but I'm rounding to 2 decimal places. Like so. And I hope that's clear. Decimal places, as far as rounding, are different than decimal places for formatting. Okay. All right. I've done that heavy lifting for that first cell. I'm going to get my fill handle, bottom right-hand corner, drag down. I don't want the formatting to follow it. So in my drop-down arrow, I'm going to say fill without formatting. Ooh, nice. Okay. All right, we're going to go over to F5, and we're going to wash, rinse, repeat. All right, let's go back up to our insert function. Round should now be in my selected function because that's my most recent one here. And here I'm going to say D5 plus D5 times E5. Again, my original amount plus whatever my original amount is times my percentage change. Now see, the percentage change actually is negative for advertising administrative costs. So this is like a categorized budget that I'm doing. And I'm going to round, or actually change the value of this formula, round to the nearest 2 decimals. Now we can round to the nearest 0 decimals, which would be 83217. Here, I'm going to just put this in here, just kind of for laughs. I round to 0 decimals, 83217. We can actually round to negative decimals. So what if I wanted to round to the nearest 100 in my answer? Well, I can actually say to the minus 2, and now I've got 83,200, or to the nearest 100. If I wanted to do to the nearest 1,000, what would I do? You guessed it, I do minus 3 decimals, and now I've got 83,000. So you can actually round to negative decimals. Ooh, that was fun, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to round to 2 decimal places. Again, 8321706 is what it's going to round to, but as far as my formatting goes, I've only got 0 decimal places in my formatting, so that's what it's going to look like right there. Okay, let's go over to G5. My average percentage change is going to be, we're going to do round again. Round, round, get around, I get around. Forget it, that's a Beach Boys song, right? Okay, we are going to select parentheses, and we're going to say C5 plus E5 using my point method. Close your parentheses. Again, PEMDAS, parentheses first. I'm just going to take an average by dividing by 2. I'm going to keep that somewhat simple. I'm actually going to round this one because it's going to be a percentage. I'm going to round it to 4 decimal places. Here you can see 0.025 is what it's going to round to, and in formatted fashion it's going to look like that, 2.5%. Okay, all right. Let's go grab those 2 cells, F5 and G5, using my white cross. Bottom right-hand corner of G5, fill handle, left click and hold, drag, and then let's fill without formatting. Yes, okay. However, I want to change these percentages here, all right? Probably want to do that with all of these. See, I've got 0 decimal places down here. That looks kind of weird. Let's go fix that. And do I really need it to 2 decimal places as far as my percentage? Probably not. I'm kind of making this up as I go along. Let's go select this guy here. hold down my control key, select that guy and that guy. And let's do percentage, click on percentage. Let's just do 1 decimal place like that. That looks pretty good. I don't need 2 decimal places. I might have changed my instructions. I don't really care. I'm just doing stuff here on the fly anyway. That is page 1, on to page 2. Now what we're doing is we're working with the Consolidated Expenses worksheet. We're going to pull all these various divisions that we're operating in together. Okay. And let's see here. We're going to go to B13. And we're going to auto sum up there. And again, don't get lulled to sleep here because it goes, do you want to add B4 through B12? I see, right? See how it looks at the date and goes, oh, I think you want to do math on that. No, I don't. I don't want the date in that formula. So I'm going to come down here with my white cross on B5, left click and hold and drag. I actually want to have B5 through B12. Of course, there's a bunch of different ways you could have changed that, correct? Okay, and here's a trace error that pops up. Formula omits adjacent cells. Update formula to include cells, blah, 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 blah. We just omitted adjacent cells. I don't really care. I did that correctly. I can just say ignore error for that matter. Because it says you left out B4 in your calculation. Yes, I did, and I intended to do that. Didn't I? Yes, D13. Okay. Wash, rinse, repeat. Now another thing I can do here for D4 through D12 is I can come up here with my two-headed arrow, left click and hold, and drag down and eliminate D4 from that calculation. It's another way I can change my formula on the fly. Enter button up here. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing, of course, for F, auto sum. I suppose another way I could do this is I could click down in my argument on my formula. See my insertion point? Backspace 5. It's another way I could do that. 3 different ways to do something. Isn't that cool? Okay, so I've added all that up. I've formatted my percentages. I've put in my calculations. And now we are going to do a custom, we're going to do consolidated expenses. Files, save as here. I'm going to save this to my documents folder. And I'm going to call this, according to the instructions, CONS, capital EXP. Short for consolidated expenses. Just save that to my documents folder. Okay? All right. Custom formatting. Control and drag to select the ranges C5 through C12. Hold down your control key. E5 through E12. And G5 through G12. Interesting. Okay. Let's go up to my, let's see, a bunch of different ways I could do this. I suppose one way I could do this is shortcut menu. I could right click. I'm going to right click on one of these ranges and say format cells. Okay. Over to my number tab. I'm going to do what's called a custom format. Now, this might be one of the more complex things I'm going to do. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do with my custom format is I'm going to come up here and understand the zeros in my format are placeholders where numbers will go. I'm going to say 0.0. Now your instructions say 00. I'm just going to do 1 decimal place. I'm going to change that. 0.0%. I don't need 2 decimal place precision here. Okay? And then a semicolon. Now, the importance of the semicolon means whatever is to the left of the semicolon is how my number is going to be formatted if it is positive. What is to the right of the semicolon is how it's going to be formatted if it's negative. All right? I want to put in a special color, magenta. And we're getting into kind of like poor man's programming here. Left square bracket right next to the P key here. Capital M, magenta. Make sure you spell that correctly. And right square bracket. So the color of the cell, if it's negative, because I want negative numbers to be very obvious, is going to be magenta. And then I want it to be in parentheses. I'm going to say 0.0, just one decimal place, percent, right parenthesis. Those are round parentheses. So the color is in square brackets, and the number is in rounded parentheses. Okay? So again, what's to the left of the semicolon is positive. What's to the right of the semicolon is negative. This again is called a custom number format. All right, click OK. And you can see down here my magenta color shines through with my negative numbers. Ooh, weird, and that's cool. Okay. We did okay. All right. Let's see here. Styles. Home tab. Let's go up here to my cell styles area. I'm going to create a new cell style. And we are going to call this a 4-digit year. Ooh, that sounds like fun. Let's go to Format. We're going to go to Date. And we're going to select the date that corresponds to 14-March-2012. Like so. Okay. And let's see, in the alignment tab up here, horizontal, I'm going to click center. That's going to be centered in the cell horizontally. For the font tab, I'm going to go to color, a middle right page 2, by the way. Green accent 6. Is that green accent 6? Yeah, okay. Accent 6, darker 50%. That would be the darkest of the dark green. That's pretty dark. All right. And I didn't bold or anything like that, right? You know what? I'm just going to bold that anyway. I don't want to see bold. I want to have it be obvious. Just changing stuff like I feel like it. Okay. And let's see. Click OK. And it says click border, fill, and protection to clear the checkboxes. Border, fill, and protection. We don't need all that. Click OK. All right, we just created a new style. Let's go up to cell G3, which is that today function that we created a moment ago. And in cell styles drop-down arrow, here is our new 4-digit year custom style that we just created. I'm going to click on that. And there's my bold, dark green, whatever for my date. Okay, and again, the today function just returns the date. Okay, let's double click on the Sheet 1 tab. Actually, I'm just going to click on the Sheet 1 tab. Let's see, click the Sheet 1 Sheet tab to display the worksheet. That's where I was. That's where I am at. Okay, forget that. All right, I want to copy this worksheet to another worksheet. Okay, I'm going to click Control A. Whoops, let's go up here somewhere. There we go. Control A. And it doesn't like that, does it? Let's try that one more time. Doesn't like it. Let's come up here and click on our triangle up here. I call it the little wedge between the column A and the row 1. And what that does, it selects my entire worksheet. Since it didn't like Control A, I don't know why. Okay, I'm going to hit Control C or copy. Control C, copy. Okay. Let's go over to the Lobster tab. Let's go up to cell A1. Let's hit paste, Control V. Stop for a second. I think I might have been stuck on that sheet tab. I'm going to go back here. And I can either click on the wedge up here or just Control A to select all. Then copy, Control C. Sorry about that. There's my marching ants. That's what I was looking for, that text popping up. Let's go over to Lobster and paste. Nice. Let's change our view over here to 120%. And we have some column issues up here, which I think we're going to fix. All right. But we might want to auto fit just for now. I'm going to put my mouse pointer between B and C. double click. And that didn't do that. Let's do some more double clicking up here so I can see everything. Might not be the exact column widths of my original. That one looks weird. Let's make this wider. Maybe this wider. Yeah, I'm just doing stuff on the fly here. Let's make those column widths wider. I auto fit up here. Made things spread out a little bit so it looks a little bit like my original. Okay, very nice. All right, that's page 3. Okay, now another way I can copy. Let's go back to the Sheet 1 tab. So one way is to copy all the contents to a new worksheet, right? Let's right click and let's say move or copy. Now I'm going to make an exact duplicate of this worksheet. Move or copy. I want to create a copy. I'm going to put this in front of data. Okay, click OK. There you go. Let's select Sheet 1 again. And let's do that one more time. Right click, move or copy, create a copy, put it in front of data, click OK. Now, when we scroll through, Sheet 1, Lobster, column widths are a little bit different. Sheet 2, Sheet 3, whatever, those different names down there. Those two are identical. These have, like this Lobster, end up with a little bit different column widths. That's okay, I'm not too worried about that. All right, there we go. Okay, we have 4, essentially, you could argue with me, exact copies of a worksheet. Okay, let's go to the Lobster tab. So Lobster, in these different restaurants, which are part of this M&S Provisions Corporation, so these are different operations or different businesses within that. Lobster is one of them. Okay, so I click on the Lobster tab. And let's see here. Let's go up here to cell B2. Actually, A2, sorry. Drag through the word consolidated. We're going to call this Lady Lobster. Whoops, let's spell that right. Lady Lobster and enter. Okay. Let's select cells A1 and A2. Let's go up to our fill color. And we're going to do tan accent 4. There we go. Tan accent 4, like so. Okay. Font color. It's going to be automatic. It's like a black. Ooh, do I like that? I don't like that. I don't like automatic. How about white? What does that look like? Ooh, that looks better. That's better contrast than black. Okay, so Lady Lobster is going to be a subdivision of M&S Provisions, the corporation. Okay, and let's see here. We already have Lobster selected. That's my tab color. And let's go over to the Sheet 1, 2 tab. There we go. All right. And I'm just going to leave those numbers alone. Let's see. I'm going to double click on the Sheet 1, 2 tab. Double click to select it. We're going to call this Haddock and enter.